Okay, picture this. You've literally spent hundreds of hours learning to code, right? You've built these awesome projects totally from scratch. You've sent your resume out to what feels like a million different companies. But despite all that hustle, you just can't seem to crack the actual interview. You're just left sitting there, staring at a blank screen or another generic rejection email, thinking, okay, why am I still failing? Well, look, it's a super frustrating spot to be in. But if you're feeling that exact pain right now, I promise you, you are absolutely not alone.
But here's a hard truth we just gotta get out of the way right up front. The problem? It's not always your technical skills. Seriously, it's not that you aren't smart enough or capable enough to write good code. The real bottleneck is actually your interview preparation strategy. I've seen so many brilliant coders fail simply because they just don't know how to play the actual game of the interview itself.
So let's fix that. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to completely break down exactly how you can prepare for and actually land an IT job in 2026. And hey, even if you're a fresher with absolutely zero industry experience right now, no worries. This roadmap is built to totally overhaul your approach. We're going to bridge that gap between just knowing how to code and actually knowing how to get hired. Here is our agenda for today. We're looking at 1. The interview process, 2. Technical fundamentals, 3. Projects and practice, 4. Resumes and HR, and finally, 5. Common mistakes and our final roadmap.
All right, section 1, the interview process. Gotta know the terrain before you walk it.
Look, you wouldn't train for a marathon by running 50-yard dashes, right? Most IT interviews follow a pretty standard gauntlet. First up is the resume screening, then usually an online assessment. After that, you hit the technical or coding round, and maybe a system design round if you're an experienced candidate. And then finally, the HR interview. Now sure, every company has its own little flavor, but these are the standard stages. The secret here is that if you prepare for each distinct stage separately, this giant mountain suddenly becomes a series of very doable steps. Moving on to section 2, mastering technical fundamentals. Walk before you run. Okay, building your career on a shaky foundation is just a massive mistake. Jumping straight into crazy complex coding problems on sites like LeetCode before you have a solid base, yeah, that's just going to cause your house to crumble. Instead, your winning strategy is to master your core fundamentals in just one single language. Seriously, don't try to learn 5 languages at once. Pick one, Python, Java, JavaScript, C++, whatever, and deeply understand the variables, loops, functions, arrays, object-oriented programming, and file handling in just that one language. Once that language foundation is rock solid, then it's time for the heavy hitters. We're talking arrays, linked lists, trees, graphs, and hash maps. You'll also need to really wrap your head around sorting, searching, recursion, and time complexity. And let me be totally clear on this. Even if you are applying for web development or data analytics roles, mastering these concepts is 100% non-negotiable. These are basically the core building blocks that companies use to test your logical horsepower. Which brings us to section 3, projects and coding practice. This is about proving your worth. When it comes to projects, it turns out that depth is way more impressive than breadth. So instead of bringing 10 tiny, mediocre weekend tutorials to the table, you really want to focus on building just 2 or 3 high-quality projects. Think along the lines of a comprehensive student management system, a fully functional e-commerce website, a real-time chat app, or maybe a weather app that integrates live APIs. Because when you actually sit down to talk about these projects, interviewers aren't just looking at the sheer size of your codebase. They want the why and the how. If you used specific technologies, why did you pick them over something else? When you hit a roadblock, how exactly did you debug and solve it? What's your vision for future improvements? They are evaluating your entire problem-solving process, not just looking at a polished final product. To really back up those projects, the data tells us you need a minimum of 1 hour of daily coding practice. That is the sweet spot. Focus your energy on things like arrays, strings, hash maps, recursion, binary search trees, and dynamic programming. Get super comfortable with techniques like the sliding window and 2-pointers. But hey, listen to me on this one. Do not ever just blindly memorize solutions. If you memorize a question and the interviewer slightly tweaks it, you're going to freeze up, and it is a terrible feeling. You absolutely have to understand the core logic behind every single problem.
All right, section 4, resumes and HR interviews. These are the crucial soft skills.
Your resume is quite literally your very first interview. And recruiters, they're spending maybe a few seconds looking at it. So keep it to one professional page, highlight your real skills, your projects, education, and internships. And on the flip side,
please avoid the instant rejection traps. No careless spelling mistakes, no fake skills, no copied projects, and honestly, skip the fancy, distracting graphics. Just keep it clean and impactful so your real talent shines through.
If that resume works, you are going to find yourself in the HR hot seat facing the absolute classic. Tell me about yourself. It's kind of crazy how that one simple question can just make our minds go completely blank, right? So many candidates just don't prepare for this, and it's a huge mistake. Instead of totally panicking or spitting out some robotic memorized script, just speak naturally. Craft a narrative that connects your specific background directly to the role you're applying for.
And then comes the inevitable follow-up. Why should we hire you? Look, technical skills just get you shortlisted. It's your communication skills that actually get you selected. Your ability to speak clearly, explain your thought process, and really listen before answering. Even if you completely blank on a technical question, talk through your approach. Interviewers usually care way more about your problem-solving resilience than your ability to instantly spit out a perfect answer.
And finally, Section 5, mistakes and our final roadmap, putting it all together.
Let's quickly recap those instant rejections you have got to avoid at all costs. It's not just the big stuff, like lying on a resume or sounding like a robot. Simple things will tank your chances just as fast. Ignoring your own projects, poor communication, giving up the second a question gets hard, showing up late, doing zero research on the company, or just not having any questions for them at the end. Your professionalism matters just as much as your coding chops.
So, how do you fix all these mistakes before the big day? Mock interviews. Practice with your friends, find a mentor, or use online platforms. But here is the ultimate cheat code. Record yourself. Seriously, when you watch that playback, you're going to notice things you'd never catch in the moment. Stuff like slouching, speaking way too fast, or just rambling when explaining technical concepts. Refine how you explain things out loud. I promise, every single practice run makes the real thing feel significantly easier.
All right, let's lay out the first half of your definitive roadmap for 2026. Step 1, master one programming language deeply. Step 2, learn your data structures and algorithms inside and out. Step 3, use those skills to build 2 or 3 really strong real-world projects. And step 4, maintain a consistent daily coding practice. This right here, this is how you build an absolutely impenetrable foundation.
And for the final phase, step 5, distill all of that into a crisp, one-page professional resume. Step 6, prepare natural, confident answers for your HR rounds. Step 7, test those out by taking multiple mock interviews. And finally, step 8, apply consistently. And remember, rejections are completely natural. Getting a no doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're in the arena getting better and better every single time. Which brings us to one final thought to leave you with. If every rejection is literally just a stepping stone that brings you one step closer to your goal, then you have absolutely nothing to fear. You've got the roadmap, you know the terrain, and you know exactly what you need to practice. So the question is, what will your next interview teach you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay resilient and happy learning.